What's up, Pat? Welcome to the SABM podcast.
Hey Scott, good to be here.
Yeah, man, good to have you on, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you and the 10X Vets group. So thank you for being a part of that, and look forward to meeting you in person in DC at the Army Navy Club in a
I'm
few months.
excited.
But today we're here to talk about what you do. So you're the Chief Compliance Officer at Gleneagle Advisors, and you guys also launched a really cool financial planning app, which I'm excited to dive in. And we could talk about compliance if you want, or we can talk about the app. Whatever you think the audience might enjoy most. I'll let you choose our adventure here today.
Awesome. Well, I will say the compliance officer role is not quite as exciting as some of the technology and other stuff we're working on with the app. So maybe we'll focus on the growth story, and I can touch on some of the compliance stuff
Yeah, why don't we touch on how you maybe got connected or what led you to join Gleneagle Advisors as the chief compliance officer?
yeah. So like every veteran in the business world, I've got a very roundabout story on how I ended up where I am. I graduated from the Naval Academy in 2014, and commissioned as a Marine officer. I did my 5 years as an infantry officer out in beautiful 29 Palms, California. Um, Sounds like a cozy little beach town in California. It's not. It's in the middle of the Mojave Desert. It's a tough place to get stationed. But I was out there with 7th Marines. I did 2 deployments to the Middle East during that time, and it was everything I wanted out of the military. I got to serve, I got to lead, I got to deploy, and that was the experience I wanted. But I knew pretty early on that I didn't want to make a career out of military service. And I was very interested in financial services. So started my journey out of the Marine Corps in financial services at Wells Fargo Securities, which is the investment banking arm of Wells Fargo. Um, when I got out in 2019, a lot of the large banks had these great veteran rotation programs, which would take, vets out of MBA programs, or sometimes vets like me who were transitioning, directly out of the military, and put you on kind of a rotational program, bouncing around different parts of the bank, learning about the bank, and then often it would result in an interview, and if you did well in the interview process, a full-time offer. So I did that rotational program at Wells Fargo. I landed a full-time offer in their sales and trading division. And I was off to the races. That was July 2019. So as you remember, in
Oh
2020,
yeah.
March 2020, about 9 months later, something big happened. COVID hit, and it was like a real trial by fire. It was a very volatile time in the markets. But I honestly I learned so much on such a compressed timeline. I felt like it was a great, it felt chaotic at the time, but I felt like it was a great place to actually start my career. I saw, kind of the full gambit of things that can occur in financial markets. And and so yeah, so I did my first 2 years out of the military there at Wells Fargo, and like I said, great learning experience. The team over there at Wells is awesome too. By the way, they've got, on the banking side, they've got quite a few veterans, some West Point grads, some Naval Academy grads, and they have a great training program there. So, I felt like it was a great introduction to financial services. Um, while I was there, though, I was craving something a little bit more entrepreneurial, um, and I started to kind of poke around and look at my next move, and specifically look at fintech companies. Um, and I ended up, after about 2 years at Wells, taking a job at a small fintech company called EquitiesEnd, which has now been acquired by Morgan Stanley, so they're not so
Oh
small
wow.
anymore.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, which was cool. But it was like a total culture shock. I went from, like giant trading floor, investment banking, that whole world, to like, there's a ping pong table in the corner and like beer in the fridge. And it was like classic startup, environment. I think there was like less than 50 employees when I took the role there. Um, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I felt like we were solving real problems every single day. I would be there working at the sales pod, and um, the CEOs, like maybe like 5 or 10 years older than me, would walk out and just be talking with us and like asking us about the problems we were encountering, and it was a very flat organizational structure. Good ideas kind of rose to the top, and I loved it there. I did leave. I went and did a stint at CBIZ for a year, which is good. It was a promotion. It was a raise. It was all these things that I thought I wanted. And while I was at CBIZ, that was when I got the call from Gleneagle Advisors, and my friend Rob, who was working there, said, he had graduated from Wharton a few years earlier. He was working at Gleneagle, which is family owned, family run. And he was working with his mom and sister, kind of building out their high net worth financial advisory practice. And and when he called me, he said, we need a chief compliance officer for Gleneagle. And you've got a background in trading. We have a trading arm, so we need somebody that understands that world. But we also need somebody to come help build Alooola, which is the app that you mentioned at the beginning of the podcast. And what Alooola is an app-based financial advisor. And my sister Carol Ann and I are trying to build this thing out. We've just hired a software engineer. We just registered with the SEC, and we need a compliance officer. And so would you come do that? Would you come join that team and help build that for us? And I initially said no way. I I was like, nope, I'm a sales guy. Like, I'm not a compliance guy. I hate compliance, like that's not my world. Um, and I thought about it for a week, and realized that there were actually a lot of things about the offer that were really attractive. Mostly being part of a management team and being part of a team that was trying to build something. Um, and it kind of reminded me of my EquitiesEnd time, which was, very entrepreneurial, very focused on building out something and solving problems every day. And I realized, you know what, I will bite the bullet. I will do compliance, and I'll lead the compliance side of the firm as long as they give me the opportunity to do some business development, do some sales if possible. And I asked that of Rob, and he said, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, so that's like I said, roundabout story, but that's how I ended up where I am.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool opportunity, and congrats on finding it. And it's almost like a hybrid opportunity where there's the traditional, advisory firm and kind of a steady Eddie business, right? You've got a bunch of lots of clients, well established, and then great, right? Like steady income revenue, like to the company, and so that they can take risks and venture out into new areas like the app that you're building, right? And that's kind of
Yeah.
probably like the startup world. So, there's
Yes.
a sense of security, like, hey, this business has been around for a while. It's not we're not like reinventing the wheel with, financial advising on that one side, but then you're able to kind of also, dip your toe in innovation, right? And the app is almost, it sounds like a company of its own, right?
Yep.
And so that's really cool. Walk us through kind of where you're at with the app, or how does it work, or like what's the value proposition as you see it today?
Yeah, so and I'll agree with you. It is kind of the best of both worlds with both firms, and I love that. But with the app specifically, yeah. So there's two really clientele that the app serves. There's the retail side, which is typically younger clients, usually under the age of 40, millennial Gen Z types that are looking for uh, kind of everything when it comes to investments and financial planning they want it on their phone, right? We've actually found a great niche with with doctors and residents and attendings. Rob and Carol Ann, the other founders of Alooola, are both married to doctors, so they understand some of the problems that doctors and residents and attending face in their financial journey. And so, we have a lot of sort of younger physicians and residents downloading the app, managing their investments from the app, doing some financial planning on the app, but then also we always incorporate a human element so they can very easily through the app connect with an advisor if they need to. So if they wanted to talk to me, Carol Ann, Rob, they can do that through the app. That's the retail side of things. On the business retirement planning side of things, we run a pretty good 401k business. And where we're gaining a lot of traction there is with, mid-sized businesses, think like 100 to 500 employees. And, you know, typically businesses that have less than $20 million in assets in their retirement plan. And we are just setting up a great system for them to offer to their employees to access their retirement planning, access an advisor. It's typically lower cost than what they're currently using. 401ks are like notorious for just embedding hidden fees and all sorts of charges that the average employee at a company does not really think about. And so what Alooola is able to come and do on the business retirement planning side of things is look at the 401k, uh, analyze the fees that they're currently paying, usually save them money, and then offer a more tech forward solution in the form of the app. So yeah, those are kind of the two segments of clientele and what we're doing for both of them.
Gotcha. And yeah, really cool. And so it's also nice, I guess as a business owner, or a CEO of a small to middle-sized business to, have a team that you can talk to, it's, not like this giant institution, right, where you kind of get lost,
Yeah.
and then the technology piece, I think, is probably really important as well. What was the, what do you think was the reason or kind of the why behind the app, or kind of going from, being a traditional um, investment advisor to like, hey, you know, the world's changing. Like people are on their phones, their smartphones. Technology is really important to a lot of people, right? I guess what's kind of the why between like, hey, let's let's invest in this new app. Kind of what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think the goal is to set up something that has a family office feel with a tech forward approach. And that's been the focus is giving clients the feeling that they can connect with us at any point and talk about their investments and talk about their finances. But they're doing it on best in class technology that they can access from their phone and also typically paying lower fees. Um, so that was kind of the thought. What we're currently working on and what I think is the next step for us is incorporating more than just investment management and investment advisory and financial planning. I think we would love to get to a point where we are incorporating some tax planning services on the app. We'd love to get to a point where we're, incorporating some, an opportunity to buy your life insurance on the app. These are kind of like moonshot goals, but I think the modern financial advisor, there's a lot expected of them, and you can meet those expectations with really excellent technology. And so we have good technology. I think if we can start to offer all of those pieces of financial planning, tax planning, investment advisory, insurance, all of this together on one app, that's kind of where we see this going.
Yeah. And how about like through the lens of the financial advisor? at your company, like how are they using the app, or how do they like the app as it relates to growing their business? And I'm kind of thinking about like, hey, maybe there's somebody that wants to become a financial advisor. There's a lot of academy grads that kind of do that for a living. Or maybe they're working for like a larger shop and like, hey, maybe I'd like to rather work for, maybe a smaller, more personable type of a business that's, maybe out there doing cool things like you guys are. Like walk us through what it's like from an advisor's perspective
Yeah.
of like, is this replacing them? Are they leveraging the technology to serve their clients better? Like, what are you seeing from your seat?
Yeah, so it's in some ways it's making their job easier, which then allows them to go and solve more important problems. So the ways that it makes their job easier, a lot of the investment management, because of the app design, has become simplified for the financial advisor. When it comes to rebalancing portfolios, executing trades, in a number of different client accounts, um, putting clients on various investment models, all of that has been simplified. And it's not just the Alooola app that's doing that. That across most financial advisors, technology has made certain parts of their job simpler, and specifically investment management and making sure that clients are allocated appropriately has become a lot simpler. Um, what that's allowing is it's allowing them to have better conversations with clients about other aspects of their financial journey. One of the ways actually that the 401k business started growing was we have a number of business owners who have their personal assets with us. Um, as investment management for their personal assets got easier, they started to talk with us more about their business. And we uncovered a ton of opportunity to save them money on their 401ks. And it was just this natural outgrowth from the investment management being simplified a little bit. Now we're talking more about their personal business, their like how they're trying to grow. Those types of conversations led to, hey, how much is your 401k advisor and record keeper charging you? And now we've added this whole other business segment, which is currently like close to 50 or $60 million in assets now of 401k plans where we, in some cases, saved them 50%
Oh, wow.
on the annual admin fees that they were paying to their 401k provider. So anyway, I say all that to say, um, certain things have gotten easier. Uh, and then that allows us, I think, to do more on behalf of the client.
Yeah. Well, congrats, man. It's really, yeah, really exciting. What you've developed. What has it been like building an app? Like, like I mean, that wasn't in your resume, right? Like that was something that you've probably like, oh wow, like we're gonna build an app now, right? And so new and exciting, but what has that process been like? I'm
Yeah.
curious.
Yeah,
For those
it
of us
has.
that want to build the next like most downloaded app, what are your best tips?
It's been it's been like nothing I've ever done before. I will say that the most shocking thing for me, and I know like artificial intelligence and AI, like it's just a total buzzword right now, but I'm not trying to like, AI wash the conversation, but we have two software engineers that work for us, and they've built this thing alongside me, Rob and Carol Ann, basically from scratch. Like we bootstrapped it. We haven't taken on any outside funding. Um, they've been able to do that because they employ the use of Claude coding. Um, and they're probably doing what 10 years ago it took a team of, 15 or 20 software engineers to do.
Oh wow.
That was something that totally took me by surprise. Like when I actually go in and look at what they're building and the amount of, I mean, just how productive they are. Um, with the use of AI, that's been very surprising. I think though It's a good thing, right? Because it opens it up. Like you can have a smaller team build something really cool and very applicable to a large number of people because artificial intelligence has just made it much simpler. Um, so that's one cool thing. The other the other interesting thing is, I was not in the compliance world before this. I understand financial services and compliance, and I understand interacting with regulators because, I worked on a trading floor and I worked in a fintech startup, and that was always part of my world. I've never been the guy that's like, hey, we can't release that because I need to add like three different disclosures, right? That's been new for me, and that's been kind of an interesting journey, personal journey, right?
Yeah,
Like
you suck all the fun away. Come
I know,
on, Patrick.
yeah,
Come
yeah,
on.
that's right,
Like we want to launch this, man. We want to ship our product, and
yeah,
you're the fun sucker.
I
I'm
am, yeah.
just-
Exactly. Yeah. No, I come in and I go, you know what? The SEC wouldn't like that. Let's hold off for another week. So,
Well, you're an important piece of the equation, right? Because that is important. It's got to be you're in a highly regulated industry, right? And so it's got to meet all the compliance standards. So if you just let a bunch of like software engineers and like or entrepreneurs just like launch stuff out into the marketplace without any regard to compliance in a regulated industry like you're in, with all of the licenses that you guys have, probably would be a problem. So,
yeah, yeah, it would become a big problem very fast.
what are your most important goals for the rest of this year? So we're kind of halfway through. We're at halftime. Here pretty
Yeah.
much for 2026. As you look at the second half of the year, what are your most important goals? Maybe short-term goals, and then looking out over the horizon, 3, 4, 5 years from now, where would you like to be?
Yeah, that's a great question. For the rest of the year, I think what we're really focused on is building out the 401k sales part of the business. We basically we we're at a point where Alooola met a need for a lot of our Gleneagle clients that were business owners, and we were able to bring their 401k over to Alooola and save them money, give them better service, and put them on a more tech-forward platform. Um, Now we have sort of like those referrals from the Gleneagle business. We've sort of exhausted those, we're at a point where we need to really start to ramp up our outbound sales. And so I think the rest of the year, Rob and Carol Ann and I are trying to think about how to best do that and how to get the message out to business owners that there's an opportunity to come to this technology platform and probably cut your 401k fees and probably get better service than what you're currently getting at, like Empower or Transamerica or any of these large legacy 401k providers. So that's sort of the rest of the year is going to be very focused on that. When it comes to long-term goals, I think I kind of touched on it earlier, but I think we all want to get to a point where the app is meeting a lot of different financial needs for our clients. So, let's say you're a doctor with a private practice and you've got your 401k with Alooola, and then you've got your personal assets with Alooola. And then Alooola also has, a CPA that's doing your tax planning for you. And then we've also got, an insurance aspect to the app where you can buy life insurance. Um, and just kind of giving them like the whole financial planning picture in one app so they can run their business retirement plan and their personal assets and their tax planning all from one place. That would be the dream someday.
Yeah, and talk to somebody too if they need some help, right? You've got a team of people that I think that's really important as well. Technology is great and it helps us work more efficiently, and but I love being able to just like pick up the phone and like if I'm stuck or I have a question, you know, getting that support. So uh,
Yeah.
yeah, really cool to see what you've built. Awesome. What connections are most valuable to you? You know, if you had to kind of describe the ideal person you'd like to connect with, who is it?
Yeah, I think those two client types that I mentioned, the doctors, residents attending, if they are struggling with how to approach the mountain of debt that they've accumulated going through medical school, if they have questions about, how much they should be saving, what kind of life insurance they should be getting, we've got two professionals at Alooola, Rob and Carol Ann, that are married to doctors and know every type of story and financial journey that occurs in that space. So connecting with physicians, residents, attendings, those are the type of people we can really help out. And then business owners that are looking to maybe cut some costs, and want us to just come in and take a complimentary look at their 401(k) plan. We're happy to do it. We do that free of charge. And, if they like what they see and they like the platform, they like the technology, and they want to make a move, great. If they want to stay put, that's fine too. It's always great to interact with other people that are growing and running businesses.
All right. And Pat, what's the best way for folks to learn more about Alooola and Gleneagle Advisors and connect with you?
Yeah, so we've got websites for both firms. So the website for Gleneagle Advisors is gleneagleadv.com. And then Alooola is Alooola with three O's, so AL three O's LA.com. And then if they want to reach out to me directly, it's just PO Boyle at gleneagleadv.com and PO Boyle at Alooola.com. And feel free to email me. And I try and get back, especially if it's a veteran that emails me, I always try and get back to them immediately. So.
Yeah. Is there a story behind the name Alooola or was it like what? All right.
So it's interesting. It's a take on the word Alooola, which is it's actually spelled Alula, but it
Okay.
is a feather on the eagle that helps it to land. Um,
Oh, okay.
yes, so it is a take on that word. The three O's. I don't know why we went with three O's. It's a question for Rob.
Alooola with three O's. All right. Well, well, people will be able to easily remember that. So, hey, Pat, man, it's been a pleasure having you on the podcast today. We'll link to your websites, your contact info, and also your LinkedIn profile in the show notes, so people can reach out afterwards and connect. And here's to an awesome finish to 2026.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Thanks for having me on.